welcome to my weekly reading vlog. In the past, my vlogs have kind of been themed. I think I've done one on science fiction, specifically reading Kazuo Ishiguro, and I've also done an unhinged women reading vlog, and that doesn't really work for me. I think I'm just going to vlog my week with a focus on my reading, obviously. It's winter where I live. It very much is winter. I am in the Midwest. And some of the goals I have outside of my reading goals for this week are to make my space way more comfortable, kind of leaning into romanticizing my life or exploring the concept of hygge. I know that's a little like 2018 now, but I'm always behind on trends. And I plan on including some of that as well. I really just want to create a cozy space for me to share what I'm reading about and maybe interact with people who I normally wouldn't be able to. So that's really how I'm going to intro this, I guess. I am currently reading Stories of Your Life and Other Stories by Ted Chiang, which I have had on my reading list since 2016. If you don't know, Stories of Your Life is the short story that the movie Arrival is based on, and I did see that movie when it came out. I rarely go to theaters, and I saw that one in theaters, and I loved it. I have already read the first story, which is Tower of Babylon, and it is, I think part of the reason I had such a hard time getting into this book is this first story reads very slowly and very dry. It's one of those stories, the sci-fi fantasy stories, that makes me feel uneducated, and that's not a criticism of the story, it's a criticism of myself. It reads like a parable, which you could probably guess makes sense by the title. I really enjoyed the overall theme of it, though. I don't want to get too spoilery, but it's hard to talk about short stories without like getting into them. But essentially, the story is exploring themes of like, what is unknowable? Is something always going to be unknowable? Is there a point in pursuit of something if you can never actually reach that goal? As well as just exploring an alien setting that was created by humans. It is very much based upon the story of Babel, which most of, not Babel, the Tower of Babel, which many of us probably are familiar with in some form. I'm familiar with the form of it in Genesis in the Bible. That's what I grew up knowing. But it doesn't touch on the conclusion of that story. The conclusion of Ted Chiang's exploration of this is very different. And I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna make some tea and enjoy my day. It is Sunday, so I'll probably do some chores, bring you along for some of that, and see where the week takes me. I continue to be less than great at vlogging. And I think part of the reason that I wanted to start vlogging in the first place was as a way to encourage myself to do more with my day. But I'm hitting kind of a weird place where when I am doing more with my day, one, it's a lot of what I do is really mundane. And two, I don't want to necessarily interrupt what I'm actively doing. But regardless, ran a lot of errands today, was able to get a couple things done. I also finished the second story in this book, and it kicked off a lot better for me than Tower of Babylon. This one was called Understand, and we're following a man who is dealing with the side effects of a drug that was used to bring him back from a vegetative state. And these are generally positive side effects, but what happens as the regrowth of his dendrites and his neurons just continues exponentially. It was an interesting take on a couple different concepts. There's a conversation I've had with people before about the complexity of the human mind and what it means to be so intelligent, especially in specific fields like physics or mathematics, and how that can sometimes intersect with either perceived or actual issues with other parts of our brain working. For example, like if we are an expert in this really difficult to understand science, does that mean that we're sacrificing our ability to excel in other fields, including things like being able to socialize with people who aren't experts in your field? Obviously, this has a sci-fi twist to it. I really enjoyed it, though. I am looking forward to continuing on. The next story is called Division by Zero. I think after that story, I'm going to start getting ready for bed. I did do a little bit of decorating. I am not a holiday season person. I am a Halloween all year person, but in this attempt to feel happier in general as it's dark at 4 o'clock, I am doing a little bit of coziness and I'm going to bring you along for the ride, I guess. Happy Monday. Best laid plans and all that. I ended up sleeping in this morning, and I generally just can't vlog while I'm at work because of the nature of my job. I was so excited to go on a walk tonight and forgot that it gets dark at like 4:30 and I get off at 5 or later every day. So I'm just going to cook some dinner and listen to the next story in Stories of Your Life, which is the titular story. I don't know if I'm going to finish the actual book today, but because I do want to focus on reading How to Keep House While Drowning. It's a little thin thing, and I definitely need some inspiration or ideas on how to make sure that I keep my living space a little bit more comfortable, like I said yesterday. And that's really it. I'm going to make some tasty dinner and read some more and just kind of have a cozy Monday night by myself. I would set up my camera to do my quick follow-up, but I'm cat locked. I just finished Stories of Your Life. Oh, stop. Had to switch angles because for some reason my cat was extremely interested in looking inside my mouth. So thanks for helping keep me from crying, I guess. So what I was saying is Stories of Your Life is what the movie Arrival is based on. And they're definitely different. There are major differences. The way that grief is examined more closely in the short story is really intense and hard hitting, which, if you've seen the movie, grief is absolutely a theme through it, but it is the whole point of the short story. Well, that's selling it short. I am having a hard time expressing in words how this impacted me. I loved the movie Arrival, but absolutely, unsurprisingly, the short story is much better. I understand why the changes were made. It makes sense because certain things are going to translate better on screen in the way that our story structures work for movies, for the way that conflict is built about. It made more sense for there to be a larger arching conflict in the movie. But I think that definitely does take away from a couple of the different themes in the story. It's funny that I'm having trouble putting my thoughts into words since a lot of this is about how words and language influence our perception. There's also a specific line that just really gets to me about language as performance, and not meaning language as fakery or lying, the way that performativeness can be used sometimes in English, but the way that language is an action. Talking, communicating is an action, and that there are things that can't be done without words, without language, without that communication. And that's just really struck me. So I think I'm going to have to think about this for a while and maybe actually write some ideas and thoughts of my own to really fully process it. It's bedtime. I planned on checking in more often, but per usual, work is always crazy, and I'm just not great at checking in. I had actually planned on filming me finishing up doing the blocking part of knitting. If you know what that is, it's when you stretch out a finished piece. Anyway, I had finished, I thought, the scarf that I was working on last night, and then when I went to set it up to block it for today, I realized I'd made a huge mistake. Probably while you saw my cat crawling all over me while I was knitting, and I had to rip it back pretty far. So that's a bit of a bummer. I have been reading How to Keep House While Drowning, and this was specifically written with people who are neurodivergent or who have other executive dysfunction in mind. And when I tell you, like, I'm tearing up at half of the pages, I have been tabbing, but I have to, like, limit myself from doing tabs because I just want to tab every other page, which makes them useless. This is very different than other, like, how to clean or how to set up a system to clean books I've encountered in the past. I did read the the Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up when that was really big, which I think was like 2016, and I watched a couple episodes of the show. And while that's a really useful system for a lot of people, it wasn't something that made sense for me. I have implemented some things from it, but the system as a whole was super overwhelming. It's very clear that the author of this book knows what she's talking about, to put it simply. I will probably finish it tomorrow. It's a pretty small book, but I'm just really grateful that this exists because I really feel seen. And it's very funny because I picked this up being like, oh, I'm going to read something that's less emotional than Stories of Your Life, but this is hitting me in a different emotional spot. I feel really validated, and I think that the author is achieving her goal in the way that she wrote this book. This is the best lighting I'm going to get because it is barely 5 o'clock and it's already dark. Anyway, real quick update. I have to run to the library and do a couple errands, but I'm really excited because I'm going to do an unboxing of something I've been waiting for a long time, and I finally bit the bullet, and I'm excited to show everyone. I'm hoping it actually has a big impact on my vlogging and the way that I interact on this platform. We shall see. But I'm going to go pick up some library books and then we will open it. Dealing with the lighting because, like I said earlier, it is what it is. Why did I think this angle was a good idea? The lighting is the least of my problems. But I'm gonna open this up. I'm really excited and a little nervous because this might have been a bad financial decision, but we'll see. Am I disturbing you? I'm sorry. I'm got a new computer, which means hopefully I can start editing on a computer instead of my little phone. I do plan to eventually get a dedicated camera for this as opposed to using my phone. Clearly I need to. I got this on sale, so we are going to see if it works because it was an open box sale, meaning someone had bought it and then returned it with all of the parts. But it is a Lenovo Yoga 6 and it is in a teal case, which I did not actually know when I bought it, but that totally works for me. I don't really care about the color of the chassis. I just want a computer that works. I am so excited to set up my new computer, but I can't just play on it today, so I am going to finish up some chores using some of the techniques in the book I read earlier this week while finishing up listening to Stories of Your Life, and I will check in with you tomorrow. It's pretty late. I should probably already be asleep, but that's why you're getting this lovely chiaroscuro lighting. I know I said that wrong. Don't come for me. I had circus today, and I just finished up a couple more stories in the Ted Chiang book while I finally finished the scarf I was knitting. So tomorrow I plan on finishing that up, both the scarf and the book. I plan on starting Disfigured by Amanda Leduc next. That's the nonfiction. It's subtitled On Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space. I have actually read part of it. I know I started reading it last year when I was on a plane ride, and I was just a little too overwhelmed to continue because there are tabs in it. So I'm just going to start again from the beginning. Oh, hello, of course. Every time I'm filming, you have to join me. But I plan on finishing or starting that tomorrow and getting some editing done with my new computer. I have been loading my clips onto it, so hopefully that is something that'll get done. And I have a couple other video plans, so tomorrow's going to be another busy day, but I'm going to get a lot of reading in too. Yes, I know, it's bedtime. Thank you. Thank you for being partially in the shot. Yes. Hello. Good night. Say good night. Hey, I have an exciting Friday night planned. I am going to finish up the Ted Chiang Stories of Your Life and Other Stories book here shortly while I finally finish blocking out this scarf. Well, I'll show you some shots of that. And basically what blocking is, if you're not familiar with that, is I am going to get this scarf all wet and then stretch it out. It should open up the stitches, make them a little more even, and also make the scarf longer. If it doesn't work the way I want it to, at least I have a pretty shawl. I also bought a mic for my phone. This is the mic that I bought, so hopefully my sound quality is better too. I don't know. Real quick, I am enjoying these stories. Stories of Your Life absolutely is the best one so far. It's the only one that got me to tear up. I'm about to finish it, and I think this is a book I need to just really talk about more in depth on its own instead of trying to fit in all my thoughts while also doing all this other stuff and recording it for you. I was going to continue with reading Disfigured later tonight once I finish the Ted Chiang, but I think I might start a new book, which would be The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. Either way, I will be starting a new book this evening, fully fledged into it, and I'm looking forward to that. I have been enjoying the Ted Chiang short stories, but short stories are not my usual genre, style. It's not my favorite type of thing to read, and I'm ready to get into some more long form stuff. But I'm going to finish those up, stretch this scarf out, and hopefully get some editing done tonight. Happy Saturday. I'm going to go run some errands. It's really cold. I have the scarf that I finished up last night, finally, and I don't love it. It didn't get as long as I wanted it to, but it's keeping my neck warm and my ears warm on this 14-degree day because gotta love living in the Midwest. I'm going to start or continue reading Last House on Needless Street. So far, I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely got some unreliable narrator going on. So far, I'm enjoying it. I think the best chapters right now are from the cat's perspective. So as of right now, I'm following 3 perspectives in the book. One of them is Ted, who is a man who owns a house and has his daughter with him sometimes and clearly has some undisclosed mental illness or developmental disorder, something going on with him. He loses time, so it sounds like there's some dissociation there. And one of the perspectives is from his cat, who is very religious, which I find quite funny. And I am really liking the way that the voices are definitely different. A lot of times in like thriller type books, when they do that alternating viewpoints, I've found that the author doesn't give each character an individual enough voice, but so far that's not the case with this book. And then the third perspective we're following is the older sister of a young girl who disappeared, and it turns out the man who I discussed, his name is Ted, the man who is the first chapter, the other alternating chapters, was a suspect. But he was allegedly cleared. I am not far enough into it. I'm not even 100 pages in yet to really have any theories as far as what's going on. I don't always like to guess when I'm reading these kinds of books, but occasionally it's fun. But I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of a nice change of pace from the Ted Chiang sci-fi short stories since it's a longer form and it's not a sci-fi focused story at all. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I plan on bringing you along for a couple errands. I'm going to go grab some coffee and then I'm going to edit and hopefully get this up tomorrow. I'm hoping I can maybe finish this book today too. We'll see. I'll check in again later. Bye. It's technically Sunday because I realized I never checked in with you last night. So I continued to read The Last House on Needless Street. And while I don't think I talked about this a lot in my last update, so I am following 3 different characters, and the main character, or at least the first character that you are following, is named Ted Bannerman, and he is a man in his 30s who definitely is struggling with some form of dissociation, some form of mental illness, or other type of illness that is leading to him to losing time. And I know a lot of people don't like thrillers or horror. I think this technically is horror. I haven't gotten there yet, but I think it is. Um, when there is that unreliable narrator, when mental illness is used as an excuse for a number of different horrible things a character might do, I don't think this is the direction this is going, because not only does Ted have some interesting things going on with his mental health and being unreliable, but Dee, who is another character we're following, and even his cat Olivia, is also showing some weird signs of not being a normal cat. And I don't think it's supernatural, but I could be wrong. And I do know that I'm about to encounter a 4th perspective that I haven't encountered yet. Um, I feel like I'm guessing a lot, but that's, I don't know, each chapter is this amazing tension build, and it definitely is super unsettling. I wouldn't call it scary, but I'm very deeply unsettled by everyone's point of view so far, which means I'm really enjoying this. Um, so yeah, I'm going to spend the rest of the day starting next week's vlog, because it is Sunday, and editing this one and hopefully getting it up soon. I'm still learning. I want to figure out what makes sense for me timing-wise and just learning how to edit. So I appreciate your patience with me, the few of you who are here with me as I learn how to do this. I've been having a really good time. Anyway, I'm rambling and I also really need to eat. So I will see you next week. Thanks.